Here in BC, and not just in BC, but across North America, we've seen the impact of synthetic opioids, incredibly powerful drugs that have killed people in unbelievable numbers. And for those that it doesn't kill, when people overdose, they often end up with serious brain injuries. The combination of serious addiction and mental health issues has really created a new cohort of patients, of people who need care in our province. And often they're not able to ask for help for themselves. They're too deep into their addiction, they're too deep into the mental health issue. And so what happens is they continually cycle in and out of prisons, involvement in crime, and then back into prison. And they don't get better. They just continually struggle and often then ultimately die. It's my commitment to British Columbians that we were going to find a way to do better for people who are struggling in this way, for their safety, for their health, to try to get them back on track, find a way to rebuild their lives, but also for the safety of the broader community, the safety of people in our province, because for a small cohort of these individuals, they are involved in crime that compromises the safety and the comfort of people in our province. I asked Dr. Daniel Vigo to come and assist us with this profound challenge that our province faces, to provide advice to us, and he's done some incredible work.
Hello everybody, Bruce McGonigal here. So you just heard David Eby admit that under his policies, we have now got a brain damage pandemic in British Columbia because so many people are overdosing. This is what happens when you put people in charge who come up with fairy tale ideas that are not based in science, but swear up and down that if they throw enough money at the experts, they will come up with a viable plan. They told us flat out, first of all, that we needed injection sites to save lives. When those injection sites did not save lives, but instead encouraged gangs, drug dealers, and cartels to pile into British Columbia, our government doubled down and then said what we need is now we need taxpayer-funded hard drugs for addicts. So once we started doing that, everybody goes, hey, this is exactly the perfect place to jump into for Canada and North America to distribute lethal fentanyl and carfentanil, which has happened, okay? Until Donald Trump got elected and threatened tariffs over the overdose crisis, over the fentanyl crisis, Canada was doing nothing about it, okay? We have super labs that were growing here in British Columbia faster than we were getting McDonald's and Harvey's and stuff, apparently. Super labs. People producing millions of dollars worth a day of the very drugs, killing people on our streets. That's directly on David Eby. We have lost about 13,000 to 14,000 men and boys to overdose since Justin Trudeau came to power. Folks, almost all of that was under David Eby and the BC NDP in this province. We account for over 31% of all the overdose deaths in Canada, but we only account for 12% of the population. Meanwhile, Quebec, with over almost a quarter of Canada's population, has only 7% of our overdose deaths. So you can see we don't politically matter as men and boys in British Columbia. If you die, if somebody decides to poison you with a pill and you die in overdose, odds are it will never be investigated as a homicide, even if you never intentionally took the drug. If somebody slipped it into your drink and you all of a sudden overdose and die, they will just consider that a part of the pandemic, okay? They didn't just decriminalize hard drugs, folks. They decriminalized poison and they decriminalized mass murder. It's that simple. David Eby should be resigning. He failed on every metric, as you can see here. If you look at the graph, you will look at how it started in 2016 and how it's progressed. These people, every single idea was a pandemic of bad ideas. They just added them together. Every single idea that was bad, they kept going more and more and more and more. They were reaching out to UBC, okay? And UBC saying, don't even put cops around injection sites. In fact, make it illegal to have a police officer around injection sites. That's what UBC wanted in 2019. And safe supply, of course. Do you think that they would want security and police at the university? Of course they would. but not for the downtown east side and not for other communities that get injection sites. Just like what happened in Yaletown. And what happened? The community finally pushed back. It took forever and a day, but they pushed back and forced the injection site out of their community. What people don't realize is that this is all now transmorphing into little injection site clinics for young people now. Fresh needles, and safe supply pamphlets, and how to use with a buddy. Because that's what we all apparently want now, is instead of kids not doing drugs, to do drugs with their friends so that they all can use naloxone together. Isn't that where we're headed? That's where we're at. It's not where we're headed. We're there. We're all losing 3 children a month in British Columbia alone to overdose. If these were dogs dying because of contaminated dog food, people would be acting. But they're not acting because people have lost any sense of compassion whatsoever for their fellow citizens. We are so politically insignificant in British Columbia that we can be dying at rates seen in a world war in a time of peace. And our Prime Minister, who was elected only by Liberal members, can tell the world that we don't have a crisis. Folks, we are in huge trouble, if we get Mark Carney and David Eby together. Can you just imagine how many people the Communist Party of China will kill off in British Columbia until they do take over, right? Think about how targeted all of this is going to be. If you're all not paying attention, you really, really, really need to start. Okay, take care.